terror targets. More than 9,400 people have now been killed, according to figures from the Gaza Health Ministry, appointed by Hamas, which is designated a terrorist organization by the UK. Since their gruesome videos on Black Saturday, Hamas have been largely invisible until now. Courtesy of the Hamas military wing, we have these pictures of house-to-house fighting in Gaza City, complete with target graphics. Here, an Israeli armored vehicle approaches. A hit from a shoulder-launched missile. We don't know what happened to the crew inside, and we're not being told. If there are gruesome images, Hamas has not publicized them, unlike the horror they recorded on October the 7th, when they targeted defenseless civilians in Israel. But the message is clear. We are fighting the Israelis on our turf. They don't seem to be in the mood for a ceasefire, and nor do they. Israeli ground troops advancing deep into Gaza with their superior armor, courtesy of the IDF media division. Fighting perhaps on the same streets, perhaps on the same day, in a city reduced to rubble. Hunting down Hamas, claiming to have targeted at least 2,000 Hamas positions with casualties to match, but with no independent verification. The silent cockpit collage of airstrikes, round the clock for a whole month. They've given Israel the military advantage, but at a huge cost to civilian lives. This is what so many want Israel to cease or pause. The strikes become a blur. They feel disconnected from their impact. Until you film the aftermath and zoom into the human consequences, courtesy of journalist drones in Gaza. This was the Mugazi refugee camp this morning. The panorama of destruction from the air soon becomes the particular of tragedy on the ground. And that unbearable murmur of misery returns. At least 40 dead, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Israel doesn't deny the number, but says that the presence of Hamas units makes it a legitimate target. What human price victory? It is the question that haunts this war, perhaps any war. And here too, both sides have answers that are unacceptable to the other. Navigating this political moral maze is America's chief diplomat, Antony Blinken, flitting around the Middle East. This morning, a surprise visit to Ramallah to talk to the aging president of the Palestinian Authority for the first time in this war. Rumors are that he wants him to help manage Gaza after the war is over. But if there was an election in the West Bank today, chances are that Hamas would win. No wonder they didn't have a press conference afterwards. The people in power here lack the mandate to govern. The people on the streets have the mandate of rage. And no one has a clue what actually might work after the bloodshed ceases. Even more awkward for America's chief diplomat was this welcoming committee in Adana, Turkey, for the final leg of his mission. The US is trying and failing to be an honest broker in a bitterly tribal conflict playing out on the world stage, demanding that everyone, everywhere, pick a side. Emerging from the rubble of Gaza today, she deserves better. And some breaking news tonight. As we come on air, reports of attacks across Israel's northern border with Lebanon. Lebanese media are reporting an Israeli strike has killed a grandmother and 3 children in a car. The Lebanese foreign minister said the government would complain to the United Nations. Israel says one Israeli civilian was killed in a missile strike by the armed Hezbollah group. Well, joining me now from Ramallah in the West Bank is Noor Odeh, the former spokesperson to the Palestinian Authority. Noor, it's good to have you back on the program. Let's start, first of all, with this visit by Antony Blinken in Ramallah to see Abu Mazen, the Palestinian Authority president. How significant was it that he finally got to see him in person?
Well, politically, the picture was important that Antony Blinken, who was visiting all sorts of capitals in the region, had to come and speak to the Palestinian president. This was an unpopular visit as far as the public opinion is concerned, and there were marches in the street demanding that he not be received. Having said that, we didn't really hear a lot from official sources about what actually was discussed in those meetings, one can guess that these were very uncomfortable conversations, and there was an attempt to, reaffirm nuance. That any discussion about the day after would have to be in the context of a wider political solution, that this is not about just managing Palestinians while they remain languishing under occupation without a political horizon. So, but that's really as far as we got in terms of information.
Indeed. I mean, there was no press conference afterwards, which is frustrating for all of us, trying to get more information out of both sides. But also this idea, and I think you touched on it, that Abu Mazen or the Palestinian Authority would help to run the Gaza Strip, where they are not popular at all, or certainly weren't before the war started, as long as Israel sticks to a genuine commitment to the two-state solution. But that is very much a round peg in a square, a square peg in a round hole, isn't it, at the moment?
It sure is. I mean, right now, I'm not sure what the end game for the U.S. is, to be honest. I feel like Anthony Blinken is kind of making it up as he goes along, because the Israelis aren't clear about what their end game is. We hear Israeli officials talking about decimating Gaza. We hear Israeli officials talking about getting rid of the entire population of Gaza, of building settlements once again in Gaza. Of all sorts of nightmarish scenarios as far as Palestinians are concerned. And we hear about the day after and having the PA go over there as if nothing had happened, as if it's easy to just pick up the slack, receive a disaster zone that has been turned uninhabitable, and things can, move along. And that's very detached from the truth.
It's the real problem here that on both sides, on the Palestinian side and on the Israeli side, there are leaders that no longer have a mandate, and therefore there's no real leadership, which is what you need in order to bring about some kind of solution.
I think that is a very important chunk of the problem. Another dimension of the problem is that the Biden administration is not interested in having a revitalized representative Palestinian polity. They want to deal with those they're comfortable dealing with, and they don't want to hear about Palestinian dialogue or Palestinian unity or Palestinian elections. They want to have a group of people that fit to size, that they can talk to regardless of what the Palestinian street feels about that. And I think that it will become very quickly apparent that is not a workable arrangement when the dust settles and after the entirety of this catastrophe unraveling in Gaza becomes even clearer.
A sobering note to end on. No, dear, thank you very much.